to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in for clicking on this video. And man, I'm so excited for this video. Hold on, gotta try hit your 2 liters of water a day, you know. Anyway, so I've got notes here because this is just such an exciting video. This is a video that I really had to just almost like prepare for and sit in for a little bit, not too long, just for a little bit. But today I'm talking about the waiting season, you know, when you're single and waiting for your future husband, or maybe you're waiting for that to hear back whether you got that job promotion, or maybe you have to take a gap year off because finances aren't good and you're waiting, or you're waiting for that breakthrough, you're waiting maybe to have kids, whatever it is, you know, those just in between waiting seasons. And excuse me, I personally have not a lot of experience, but I have some experience with this. And because I'm currently in a waiting season, right? I am single, I am not yet married, I'm not dating anyone, I've never had a serious boyfriend in my life, that sort of thing. And so I think there's something to be said about the waiting season, right? And the first thing I have to emphasize, I've got notes here, just is that it's not a waiting season. It's a, you know, it's not a stagnant season. It's not this season to sit around and like, I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for that, you know. No, it's a doing season, right? I actually don't like the waiting season, how they use it, because it implies that first of all that you're not complete until this next thing comes to being, and second of all that you have to like wait around and sit around, you know, doing nothing, which is so not true, right? Hold on, sorry. Just need to clean my glasses. But that's so not true, right? There is life in the waiting, right? There, you know, life is such a gift. Lately, this is something that has just been re-emphasized to me, and I have such an urgency now just about building God's kingdom, because life is such a gift, right? Being alive today and being able to watch this video is such a gift. And so why should I waste it, you know, waiting around for something to happen, right? There is such a life in the waiting, you know. And if you are always waiting in the waiting seasons, then you'll always be waiting, right? You're waiting to get a husband, you have a husband, you're waiting to have kids, you have kids, you're waiting till the kids grow up, they grow up, you're waiting until, you know, you can retire, you're waiting until this. You will always be waiting, right? But there's life almost in the waiting seasons, right? And that's so important to remember. And you know, above all, the goal is to put our focus on God, right? If we put our focus on God, that takes away our focus from us, right? If you're like sitting waiting for, or like you have to wait an hour for a certain thing, right? It takes forever if you're watching the clock, right? If you're literally watching the clock, it's 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then like 5 minutes. It literally takes forever, right? But when you're busy doing something else, or you have a different focus, then that time doesn't drag on. And so the same thing is quote unquote with the quote unquote waiting season, right? If you're focusing on, oh my goodness, I'm so single, oh my goodness, this is just not happening, then you're literally going to be in that forever, right? And it's going to feel like forever. But when your focus is on God and who God has called you to be, right, then you're doing that, you're going on mission trips, you're doing this, you're serving him in this way at school, at church, whatever it is, and you're so busy that, you know, it's gonna happen, and you're like, oh, okay, I had completely forgotten about this. And you know, I used to get so frustrated when people would talk about like the waiting season. For me, the waiting season I'm in is, I don't like that word waiting season, but that season is right when you're single before you're married, right? And I personally would love to get married quite young. That's just my desire, but you know, that's obviously up to God. And so, you know, it would always frustrate me when it would be from the perspective of someone who is done waiting. Does that make sense? Who's in their next season of life. And that can be frustrating, but this is coming from a gal who is literally in that waiting season with you. And friend, we have to put our focus on God, right? We have to literally turn our focus from us and our waiting season and the time ticking by to God, right? And like I said, waiting kind of implies that you're not complete until this next season comes, but that's so not true, because the truth is, right, you are complete right where you are. right? You are complete in Christ and who He's called you to be and who He says you are. That's where your completion comes from. And so you don't have to sit around and wait for this to happen or this to happen or this to happen, because you are complete right where you are, right? God, because of God in you, you are complete. And so that's something so important to remember, is that this next thing that you're waiting for, or this thing that you're waiting for, will not fulfill you. Like I said in the one of the a previous video that I posted, is that nothing can fill your heart, or that God-sized hole in your heart, like God can, right? And so the same thing applies here. You know, when that thing does come to be, I lost my train of thought. When that thing does come to fruition and does come to happen, it's not going to fulfill you. Yes, it's a bonus, it's an added part of life, but it will not fulfill you, and I promise you that, you know. And that's the thing, is so often we're looking for, I'll be full of joy when this happens, right? I personally don't like believe in happiness, because happiness is temporary, right? But joy is independent of your circumstances, you know. But we chase this thing of like, I'll be happy when this thing happens, or I'll be fulfilled when this thing happens. No, you won't. You know, you'll just be on the same hamster wheel, right? You'll be waiting for the next thing to happen. And so it's so important to find joy in the season that you're in now, right? To find joy in whatever season, whether it is a waiting season or it is the season where things are coming to fruition, right? It's so important to find joy there, to be fulfilled there, and to be fulfilled by Christ. And that's so important. And you know, another thing that I just wanted to mention is that, you know, I wrote it here. Okay, I think so often we're quick to wish away the waiting when God is trying to do something in us first, you know. And Pastor Mike Todd, love him, was talking about this in a sermon I listened to, right? We're so quick to wish away the waiting when God in actuality is trying to do something in us. You know, this applies to dating, but something that I've heard and that just hits me, right, is that what if, you know, you're so busy wishing that you'd find your spouse, but what if you're not the person that your spouse is looking for, right? And another thing that, like, my friend and I say to each other is that arriving at the right place at the wrong time is still the wrong place. Does that make sense? So if you get to the right place but it's at the wrong timing, then it's still not the right place for you. And so that's so important, right? Is to arrive at the right place at the right time. And so don't try and do things in your own timing, because friend, I promise you, God's timing is infinitely better than we ever could imagine, right? The way He works, the way He does things is so much better than we ever could imagine. And so we have to trust in that, you know. It's ironic because my word of 2020 is trust, and so that's just been reiterated in every single thing I'm doing. And like with this thing here, we have to trust in God, and we have to trust in who He is. So how funny is this? After I previously got cut off, I had to check if it was still recording. My phone decided to stop recording because I have too much stuff on my phone. And so kind of irritated, but Satan, you're not going to stop us today. So I'm not too sure where I stopped, like, recording and then where I restarted. But the last point I was just talking about is how God is working in the waiting. And, you know, it's so often, you know, or arriving at the right place at the wrong time is still the wrong place. Excuse me. And so it's so important to remember that, and just that God is gonna use this waiting, you know. Last year my word of the year was content, and I am just at a place where I'm just so content. And so I truly, you know, and this was all done during the waiting season, right? All this growth that's happening, all these, you know, like, there's just so much growth happening in my life at the moment, and I am just, you know, in this sort of waiting season. And I think it's so interesting how God pulls you away from certain things so that you can hear Him more clearly. But yeah, so God really is in the working in the waiting season. And so there's the song Waymaker, which you probably have heard of, and I love these two, like, parts. It says, even when I don't see it, you, God, are working, or you, which is referring to God, is working. And even when I don't feel it, you're working. And so even when it doesn't feel like God is working, even when we can't see, or it feels like we can't see that God is working, He is still working, and He is still God, and He is still good. And then there's another song called Seasons by Hillsong. This is literally my song, like, of the season. But yeah, I truly do this song. And actually I did this morning in my devotional, I painted this because sometimes I paint to like express what I'm saying. And actually yesterday I was watching the Netflix, it's the abstract design whatever series, and I was watching, it was season 2 episode 2. I can't remember the lady's name. She was a costume designer who designed all the costumes for Black Panther, and she said that Oprah once told her this quote, and which was let me see if I can get it right, is that paintings are like prayers to God too, or painting is like a prayer to God, which I thought was so cool. Art is like a prayer to God, which I thought was so cool. And so I do paint in my devotional sometimes. I have lots and lots of paintings in here in my journal. But yeah, and so this was the song Seasons, and I'll have to read these 2 parts to you guys. It just please do yourself a favor. This song will change your life. Go listen to it. So the first part, it says, I can see the promise, I can see the future. You're the God of seasons, and I'm just in the winter. If all I know of harvest is that it's worth my patience. This is my favorite, or this past line and then this line are my favorite in the whole song. Then it says, then if you're not done working, God, I'm not done waiting. And I think this is what our heart posture should be in the waiting, right? Is that if all I know of harvest is that it's worth my patience, because remember, you can't have harvest without winter. Then if you're not done working, God, I'm not done waiting. And I think that's so cool, because God is working in the waiting, right? And then the next part is just, you can see my promise, you even in the winter, because you're the God of greatness, even in a manger. For all I know of seasons is that you take your time. You could have saved us in a second, instead you sent a child. And I think that's just wow. Go listen to the song. It's really, really good. But yeah, and then here the like main chorus goes, though the winter is long, even richer the harvest it brings. Though my waiting prolongs, even greater your promise to me like a seed, I believe that my season will come. And it's just such a good song. And so I think that should be our posture during waiting, or the waiting seasons. It's just that God is working in this waiting, right? No waiting season is in vain. Does that make sense? Because God is working. And I think also with the whole dating thing, it's, I imagine if you had to meet your future spouse, but you weren't the person they were looking for, because you're so quick to wish away the waiting. And I think that is not how it should be. You know, we're so quick to wish away the waiting when God is trying to work in us. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Also, how cute is this notebook from Typo? I got it at 40% off sale. Typo is where my heart is at. But anyway, you know, aside from Jesus. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, friend. Check out my podcast. By the time this video goes live, it would have launched. Whew, okay, so let's just film this quickly, because yeah, anyway, 3rd time I'm doing this. But yeah, you can get my podcast anywhere where you listen to your podcast. It's just the Project Lumiere. It will be linked down below. Follow me on Instagram at the Project Lumiere, and please subscribe to my channel and share this video with someone who this will help, or to just with everyone you know. So whether you're listening to this at 8 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, it's gonna be a good day. Bye, friend.